Do you feel like just doing nothing? Maybe you have so many things that you know you should be doing, but it feels so overwhelming to even get started and like you're dragging your feet. Everything in your mind and body is telling you to stop when you know you should be doing more. You might be frustrated with yourself and be hard on yourself as a result. In this episode, I'll share what to do when you're feeling unmotivated so you can stop struggling and begin thriving. This is episode number 162. Welcome to Calmly Coping. My name is Tati Garcia, and I'm a licensed therapist and coach who specializes in helping high achievers stop putting themselves last. If this topic interests you, then please like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you get notified every time I release a new episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know what it's like to feel the sense that anything you have to do will require so much effort, while at the same time having high expectations for yourself and wanting to do everything. So you beat yourself up and call yourself things like lazy and wonder what is wrong with you that you're not able to get more done. Here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with you. And being unmotivated and feeling unmotivated is a part of being human. However, sometimes there can be reasons why you're feeling this way and specific things that you can do to get out of feeling this way and to start to feel motivated again. So stay tuned till the end of the episode where I will be sharing all of the things that you can do in order to help you to stop feeling unmotivated. So first, I want to talk about why you might be feeling unmotivated. So being unmotivated is when you feel like there's a lack of desire for you to want to do anything. It feels like anything that you might want to do is like pushing a boulder up a hill, like Sisyphus. It's this constant battle and this feeling of no matter what, you just don't want to do the thing. And there can be different reasons as to why you feel this way. And sometimes I've noticed for myself personally, it can be this sense of kind of like the rebellious side of me that just doesn't want to follow the rules anymore, doesn't want to do the things that I'm quote unquote supposed to be doing. And I just want to let it go and just do whatever I want to do. I think for me personally, this can come from this feeling of having all of these expectations and kind of checking off all the boxes and following all the rules of what I'm supposed to be doing. And then at some point I feel like, well, I just don't want to do these things anymore. I just don't want to work out or meditate or do work or do any of the things. I just want to let go and be and do whatever I feel like doing. If you can relate to this, then you're definitely not alone. And I think sometimes that can be one of the reasons why you feel unmotivated, maybe because you're the kind of person who has these high expectations and a strong sense of wanting control over your life, that then there can be this part of you that feels like you just want to let go of all the rules and throw everything out the window. So I want to remind you that you're not lazy for losing motivation. You're normal. And there's nothing wrong with feeling the way that you are. So let's look into some specific reasons as to why you might be feeling unmotivated. So reason number one is maybe you're burnt out. So this is when you're experiencing physical and or mental exhaustion as a result of overworking or having a lot of responsibilities and stress on your plate. And so if you're in this place of burnout, there can be a lot of different signs and symptoms, but being unmotivated can be one of them. Maybe because you've been trying so hard and doing so much, you've reached a point where you feel like you have no more motivation, or you might go through phases of feeling this way. And if you're in a place of feeling burnt out, it is extremely important for you to take time for rest and recovery. Now, just doing that isn't necessarily going to resolve your burnout, because if you're, let's say, taking a day off or taking a vacation and you're just going back into the same situation that got you in that place of burnout, then the cycle is just going to continue over again. And so that's when it's important to make changes in the way that you're doing things. And I have an entire episode on how to recover from burnout that you can check out in the description for more of like a step-by-step of how you can get out of that place of burnout. But feeling burnt out can be one reason why you're unmotivated. Another reason could be that maybe you're feeling overwhelmed. So maybe you feel out of control and like you have a lot going on currently. Maybe you're feeling very strong and intense emotions. Maybe you feel like you can't handle everything you have going on. And so sometimes overwhelm can put you in this state of paralysis of like, it's hard for you to take the next step forward and to know what to do next because of the fact that you feel like you have so much weight on top of you and so much going on. And if you're in this place of overwhelm, then a lot of the tips I will be sharing later will be helpful for you. Another reason could be fear as to why you're feeling unmotivated. So maybe there's something you're working towards or that you have to do or want to do that is bringing up fear for you. So maybe you are overthinking things and assuming the worst case scenario. Maybe you are worried about what will happen if you do the thing. And so you're feeling stuck and feeling like, it needs to be perfect. So there could be perfectionism that comes up that's related to fear. Like, if this isn't perfect, then something bad is going to happen, or having these very high expectations for yourself. It could be a lot of things that are kind of related to fear because fear tends to hold us back on not doing and not taking action. And especially if there are deep-rooted fears such as, I'm afraid that I'm not good enough or qualified enough to be doing this thing, or I'm afraid that I'm going to fail, or I'm afraid that, something terrible is going to happen. So that can be another reason why you might feel unmotivated. Another one is, like I mentioned before, it's normal. It could just mean that you need to take a rest, you need to take a break, you need to take a step back. And sometimes getting that distance can help to give you clarity and help you to recharge your batteries and have renewed motivation to move forward. Another reason could be that maybe you're doing something like the thing that you need to do that you're feeling unmotivated for. Maybe you don't feel as though there's a purpose for it, or maybe it doesn't align with your values and what is important to you. And so that can really result in feelings of not being motivated, because if what you have to do isn't important to you, or you don't see the reason or purpose for it, then it's going to be hard to feel that level of motivation. And, I will be speaking more about what you can do if that's you and you're feeling like what you have to do isn't something that is important to you, but you still have to do the thing. And another reason that is really important to take into consideration could be your mental health. So if you're a person who is experiencing anxiety or depression, sometimes you can feel unmotivated as a result. When I spoke about fear before, the kind of next step beyond fear is experiencing anxiety. So that worry and overthinking and being in this state that something really bad is going to happen, feeling on edge and feeling concerned about what could go wrong. So if you're in that place, then sometimes you can feel unmotivated because of anxiety. Sometimes anxiety can put you in a place where it's hard to think about anything else or focus on anything else other than what is worrying you right now. So maybe you are really obsessing over something and can't focus on anything else. And as a result, you're not feeling motivated to move forward and do what you have to do. Similarly, but kind of like on the other side of the spectrum with depression, a lack of motivation is a really kind of hallmark symptom of depression. And so sometimes it can feel as though you're moving through jello and the idea of doing anything feels like it's impossible. And, you might struggle with getting even the drive or desire to do things like take care of yourself. And if you're in a place of depression such as that, then, first and foremost, and as well as with anxiety, it can be really impactful and valuable to get the support of a mental health professional to help you work through those struggles, because getting that support can really be invaluable, and having somebody that is a professional to talk to and to help to give you advice that will help you to get out of that place of anxiety and depression, because it is entirely possible to do so. I have personally done it myself and helped so many clients do the same. And, if you're in a place of struggling with anxiety and depression, it's really important to be compassionate and understanding with yourself and recognize that it's not the fact that you're lazy. It's not that there's something wrong with you. It's the fact that your brain and body are in a place of trying to protect you and keep you safe, but it's kind of just going on overdrive. And you need to recognize that and, understand that there are things that you can do, but it's not always as easy as just saying, all right, I need to just have more discipline to get these things done. You really need to address what are the underlying causes that are continuing that anxiety and depression. And, I mentioned a few times that somebody who is high achieving and has high expectations can be in this place of feeling unmotivated because of the fact that they have such high standards for themselves and then are putting a lot of pressure on themselves to do more and to accomplish more. And I actually specialize in helping those kinds of people. So if you're somebody who is a high achiever, somebody who puts a lot of pressure on yourself and is in a place of feeling like you're unmotivated, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling overwhelmed, then you may be struggling with what's called high functioning anxiety. And so if you're curious to learn more about that and see if you have high functioning anxiety, you can take my less than 5-minute quiz that will tell you whether or not you have high functioning anxiety and give you personalized resources to take the next steps. So you can learn more about that free quiz by going to hfaquiz.com. There will also be a link in the description. Okay, so now let's talk about the specifics of what you can do if you're feeling unmotivated. So number 1 is self-compassion. So self-compassion is just the act of being kind to yourself. It's being supportive and understanding, because when you're in a place of feeling unmotivated, oftentimes the tendency is for that inner critic to come in, beat yourself up and say, I'm not doing enough. I should be more motivated. What's wrong with me, et cetera, et cetera. And that is not helping you. That's actually only making you feel worse and putting you in a place of potentially feeling less motivated, because, sometimes we think that tough love is a helpful way of motivating ourselves, but many times that tough love often just puts us down more and makes us feel like crap. And studies demonstrate that when you're able to practice self-compassion, people are actually better able to overcome failure. They're more resilient and they're better able to manage moments where things aren't going the way that they want them to. When you're in a state of feeling unmotivated, it's important to recognize that you're not broken, you're not flawed. You're a human who has ups and downs just like every other human, and that is perfectly okay. So that change in your self-talk and the way that you're relating to yourself might seem like a minor shift, but it can really make a huge difference in the long run. And what I've personally noticed from practicing self-compassion is that I don't get in those places of being super hard and critical to myself nearly as often as I used to. And as a result, I actually feel better overall. And I feel better able to conquer the things that I do need to conquer and more motivated to go towards the goals that I have, because I know that even if things don't work out, it will be okay. So I mentioned rest before, and sometimes this might seem counterintuitive. So sometimes people might think that, okay, I'm feeling unmotivated. I just need to push myself and do the thing. But sometimes feeling unmotivated can be a signal from your mind and from your body that it's time to take a rest. It's time to take a break, because you need to recharge and recover. And so this can look differently depending on what it is that you need to do, depending on your current situation. It can look like maybe taking a mental health day from work, which is perfectly okay. It could look like, just doing the bare minimum that is necessary for right now or for the day, and save the rest for later when you have more energy. And it could look like taking a 15 to 20 minute break, or going for a walk, or doing something that you enjoy, or speaking to a friend, or whatever it is that's going to help you to rest and recharge. Even something like taking a power nap, if you're able to do that, can be really helpful to help you to rest. And sometimes that's all that we need to get in a place of feeling ready to go again. As humans, we naturally go through rhythms where we have more focus and energy throughout the day, and then we naturally need a period to rest and recharge and to take a step back. And so if you're pushing through that, then it's going to be inevitable that you're going to get in a place of feeling drained and unmotivated. So if you can respect and listen to those natural rhythms, and that's not just throughout the day, but that's also throughout the month, throughout the year. We all go through cycles, seasons, and different phases where we can push hard and do more, and then periods where we naturally need to take a step back and recover. And so resting can sometimes be the answer or the solution when you're in a place of feeling unmotivated. Another suggestion is to prioritize. So this can especially be helpful if you're in a place of feeling overwhelmed. But this can look like taking a step back and looking at what is the priority right now. And you can ask 2 questions to assess what is time sensitive and urgent, so something that needs to be done by a specific date or deadline, and also what is something that is the most important. And that can look like different things. It can look like what is the most important when it comes to work, or what is the most important to you to get done, or what is the thing that will help you to feel most accomplished at the end of the day, or the thing that will help you to feel as though you have gotten something off your list and then you will feel more relieved as a result. Because sometimes when we procrastinate things, that can actually result in feeling more overwhelmed afterwards, rather than allowing us to feel relieved that we've put the thing off. Looking at if it's possible to cull down that to-do list that you have and only focus on the most important or time-sensitive tasks. Another thing that you can do is assess your emotions. So I know that you're feeling unmotivated, but are you experiencing any other emotions right now? Are you feeling fearful? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Are you feeling frustrated? Any of those emotions that can be present can be helpful to help you to assess what needs to be done next. What action do you need to take? Maybe is there something that you need to explore or work through when it comes to your emotions? So I spoke about fear earlier. This can be an especially important one to recognize so that you can look at it and work through it. So going 1 to 2 layers down can help you to assess as to what's triggering your emotions. So if you recognize that I'm feeling afraid, okay, why are you feeling afraid? What are you afraid could go wrong? And that's what I mean by going 1 or 2 layers down, just kind of like asking questions of why or how, or, any of those W or H questions, I guess, of like what's going on right now and what might be triggering this emotion or this feeling for you. So for example, if you have too many projects at once and you have an important project that's going to be evaluated, maybe your fear is, what if I don't do well? What if people think that I don't know what I'm doing? What if I make a mistake or miss something? So really assessing what are those specific fears, because sometimes naming them can seem simple, but can go a long way in helping you to actually look at those fears and face them and realize, okay, what if I don't do well? Well, I can only focus on and control the amount of effort that I do right now. And as far as how I'm going to be evaluated, I can't control that. So I'm just going to focus on doing the best I can right now. Or, everybody makes mistakes. If you're afraid of making a mistake, and it doesn't mean that you're a failure, it doesn't mean that you are not qualified to be doing what you're doing. And so when you recognize these fears, it can be easier to actually look at them and challenge them. And if you're the kind of person who is visual, or it's helpful to write things down, you can even write down these fears and then challenge them as you come across them, or think of, how can I be compassionate to myself despite these fears? How can I be kind and understanding? Or what would I say to a friend in this situation? Another thing can be, and this might seem a little strange when it comes to challenging the feelings of being unmotivated, but it's to focus on your progress. So ask yourself, what have you accomplished? Because when we're in a state of feeling unmotivated, that can often cloud our perception and make us feel like I haven't done anything and, I'm such a failure, and all of these negative thoughts about yourself, and really focusing on what you are lacking or what needs to be fixed. So if you can focus on your progress and what you've accomplished and what you're doing well, that can actually help to give you more motivation to continue forward. So it is that kind of snowball effect of when you are able to recognize what's going well and what you have accomplished, that can help you to realize that, wow, I can do these things, which means I can continue to do more, and help to shift your mindset into a growth mindset, which is that mindset of the fact that things can improve and you can learn new things, you can excel and move forward. Another tip is counterintuitive, but it's to not wait for motivation, because sometimes motivation doesn't come at all, or motivation doesn't come until after you start taking action. So if that is the case and you're feeling like, I've taken a break, I've done all these other things and I'm still not feeling motivated, that is perfectly okay. And you don't always need motivation to get started. Sometimes you can struggle with motivation because of those feelings of overwhelm. And what can really help is to take baby steps and just take the first tiny step of what needs to be done towards what you're doing, so that you can then get that momentum built to keep going and realize that, okay, I can do this, because oftentimes getting started is the hardest part. So if you can push past getting started, then you can continue on. And this can include, if you're struggling with motivation to go for a run, just making a deal with yourself, okay, I'm going to put my running shoes on, or I'm going to step out the door, or I'm just going to go for a 2-minute walk around the block. And oftentimes taking that first step, it's not always going to result in you doing exactly what you want to do, but sometimes it can. And that can be a great way of building that momentum to continue with the task. So if it's something that's a giant project, maybe you're going to break it down into small steps and say, okay, I'm just going to start with outlining this project first and not worry about the rest for now. And that can be a helpful mental shift, because you're just focusing on things that are more tangible and that seem more doable and accomplishable, rather than this daunting task that seems like it's going to take forever. So there are other tips that I have that can help when you're feeling unmotivated, whether the task is a huge one or a small one. So one that I used to do a lot is watching inspiring or motivational videos. If you Google or search on YouTube for, I've used the running example, but like running inspiration or work inspiration or anything like that, that can be helpful to put you in that state of seeing other people do things and help you to feel motivated. Because as humans, we actually have in our brain, and actually other mammals have this as well, they're called mirror neurons. And so essentially what this means is when you are watching somebody do something, your brain is actually behaving as though you are doing the thing yourself. So if you're watching this inspirational video of somebody else doing the thing, that can actually make your brain think that you're doing the thing and actually build that momentum to help you to want to go do the thing. Or it can just help to inspire you to feel like, okay, I can do this too. Another thing can be accountability. For example, in my membership community for high functioning anxiety, the Calm and Ambitious community, I have weekly intention setting and accountability posts that the members engage in, and they basically set their intention for the week, and then we check in with them at the end of the week. And so if you're the kind of person that does well with external accountability, something like this can be helpful. It could be whether you decide to join our community or not. It could be speaking to a friend or a coworker. Okay, can you help to hold me to this deadline? One thing that I've watched before has been like reading sprints. So basically they use the Pomodoro technique, which is a time management technique where you're doing focused work for a period of time and then taking a short break, and you're doing it together with people online. And so this can help to keep you more accountable if you're the kind of person who thrives with external accountability. Another thing can be to try and make things fun. So if you're feeling unmotivated to do chores or something else, how can you make it more exciting and something that is potentially something you can look forward to? So maybe it's you only listen to your favorite podcast or your favorite music when you're doing your chores, or you do something else that helps to make it more exciting for you, or you reward yourself at the end for getting the thing done. And, this can also be helpful if, like I mentioned earlier in the episode, if you're the kind of person who feels like there's no purpose for what you're doing, or it's hard for you to subscribe a value to the thing that you're doing, then this can be a helpful tip to think of, okay, I have to do this thing anyway, so how can I make it more enjoyable for myself? How can I make it more fun? And another tip is to remember your why. So if there is something that you're working towards that's maybe more of a longer term goal and you have to push through some discomfort to get started on the thing, remembering why you're doing this thing can help you to connect with that reason and that purpose and help to give you some motivation to continue with the thing. So whether it is a personal development goal or a physical health goal or a career goal or a relationship goal or anything else, reminding yourself of why you're doing this thing can help to give you that inspiration to work towards that long-term goal and take the next steps forward that you need to take. So remember to be kind to yourself. You are not a failure for being unmotivated, and take things one step at a time. So your action tip for this episode is to take at least one of the tips that I suggested and try to put this into action so that you can work towards getting out of this place of feeling unmotivated, and recognize that it's okay to be feeling the way that you do. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this question, so you can let me know in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube, what helps you when you're feeling unmotivated. This can help other people who are watching this video so they can learn tips from you as well. And while you wait for the next episode, I have other episodes about calming your mind, creating work-life balance, and feeling more confident from within. So you can check out these episodes here. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and until next time, be calm.